Alright, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about how the potential dump we saw recently from 8,200, 8,300, all the way down to 7,900 or so could have been caused by just a couple of wallets or one person or maybe just two people. But who knows? Good old whales in crypto, always disrupting things. But just before I was about to record this video, I seen one of the biggest pumps. What is this? So 15-minute chart here. So this happened in a span of just 15 minutes. So we went from, we could say even at the bottom here, 7,800 to 8,122. And even if you bring it all the way back to 5 minutes, it didn't happen in quite 5 minutes, but the majorative buy here did happen in that time. So we had a huge pump, and that brought us right back up to pretty much where we were. Now, it's likely that somebody will end up selling that gigantic pump that we just saw. But either way, price is up a few $100 for now, and we'll have to see what happens in the future. And that's just Bitcoin. I'm not sure what really happened to Litecoin here. A few bucks in Litecoin too, which is a pretty big difference. Everything's pretty up right now. Bitcoin the least. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the price of Verge. So we're at about 7.3 cents right now. It is down by 31% since the announcement. And so what you could chalk this up to is just selling the news. Buy the rumor, sell the news. However, the news already happened. It happened a while ago. So we're talking more than 12 hours ago at this point. And we're still on a decline of Verge. So we were all the way up at about 11 cents. Here was the announcement just around this time, actually a little bit further back. And just when the announcement occurred, boom, we dropped. We kind of went up a little bit again. And now we're just totally out of the ballpark. So I mentioned in a few of my videos that, Verge kind of rides or dies on this announcement. Now, on one end, the announcement was actually pretty good. If you guys didn't remember the announcement, it was basically that they partnered up with MindGeek that accepts payments and things like that for various websites, advertising, yada yada. One of the main ones was Pornhub. Yes. So now they accept Verge crypto apparently for their subscriptions. So that should have raised the price. That should have been something pretty awesome. And it is something to celebrate because crypto is now being involved with bigger companies and being used as an actual legitimate payment, I suppose. But in somewhat of a small field. I know it's a really big website, but even still, it was somewhat disappointing because some people thought it was going to be Amazon or PayPal or Adyen, all these different things. There was all these rumors flying around Reddit. And I think this was a little bit disappointing for some people, just because, really not many people go out of their way to specifically buy Verge just to get a subscription on Pornhub. So I mentioned in a lot of my videos previous to this that it rides or dies on this, and that, the safe bet is to sell on the 16th, which, the top was about 1 in the morning on April 17th. So technically, I was a little late on that call, or a little early on that call, but selling on the 16th would have been pretty nice because you would have sold at 10 cents, maybe even 11 cents if you did it early in the morning on April 17th. And now we're way, way down. So the price of Verge could come back up at some point, but at this point, it's at a big loss. It's lower than it had been well before the hype, even all the way back to April 11th or further. It is now lower. So it has dropped 31%, pretty much destroyed all its value. You can even see the volume here on exchanges. Look at the volume, and it's amazing. So this is all pretty much buying volume, obviously, and then all this volume is sell volume. This is huge. And it's still just as high as it was at its selling peak for the most part, just a little bit less. So we're still probably looking at a little bit further of a dip. But now on to the main story here. So Bitcoin whales dump 100 million of digital currency in 24 hours. So this is kind of interesting. The price of Bitcoin took a dive Tuesday, falling by more than $200 in less than 20 minutes. which could have been the result of a single seller who unloaded a sizable amount of digital currency. The balance of the wallet, this one, an anonymous digital account, which is valued at 1.49 billion, fell by 6,500 Bitcoin Tuesday, with the average sale price being 81.4670. So a total value of just over 50 million. And then the sale comes a day after the third largest wallet, which famously purchased over 400 million in Bitcoin in February, let go of 6,600 at an average price of 8,000. So all told, the two whales combined dumped over 100 million of Bitcoin within 24 hours. So it was either one or two people, maybe even a group of people that have one address. Not really sure, again, because crypto is pretty anonymous, and that's the glory of it. As expected, online forums lit up, speculating on what or who was behind the sharp move lower. And so somebody on Reddit said, "These dumps out of nowhere. I was looking at some alts, then I checked back to Bitcoin, and bam, it dropped $200 instantly," one Reddit user wrote. Not too surprising in that regard. I've seen crypto move a lot more than that. And, just to prove that, look what we have here. So that's Litecoin. Look what we have here. This is like $300 in like 5 minutes, basically. Maybe like 7 or less than 10. So it just goes to show that this does happen all the time. So it's nothing too crazy. But it is interesting to speculate, to know that these specific wallets dropped, over 12,000, like 13,100 Bitcoin or so in about 24 hours. And it's really weird. I find that very odd because, some investor with millions of dollars in Bitcoin, $50 million in Bitcoin on both accounts there, would sell at this point when we have reached, 81.46, which is a very low price in Bitcoin compared to its all-time high. So I just don't understand why you wouldn't wait till a little bit later. Maybe they were just trying to dip it and then get everybody to sell and try and get it a little bit lower, possibly. If you have 50 million and you sell in a difference of just a few $100s, you're making tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions, just by moving Bitcoin a few $100s rather than thousands of dollars, which the average person wants to do. So initial reaction was to point the finger at New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, who announced he was launching an inquiry into 13 cryptocurrency exchanges seeking information including exchange fees, volume data, and procedures around margin trading. However, the news broke nearly 4 hours later before Bitcoin's move lower. So previous sell-offs in Bitcoin have been blamed on sizable single-user selling, with the most famous being the Mt. Gox sale on March 7th, when they liquidated over 400 million in Bitcoin. And significant selling seems to be the flavor of the month. The biggest Bitcoin wallet sold 38 million of the number one digital currency. As the time of writing, a single Bitcoin plus 2.53% was worth 78.68. Down 1.8%, and 300 off its intraday high. So it looks like a couple whales disrupting the market again. I love this picture of the whale. Somebody get these barnacles off this whale. He's just popping out of the water. He's like, guys, get a brush, get these barnacles off me. They itch. So yeah, more whales disrupting crypto, but nothing too new, but very interesting nonetheless. So Coinbase, interestingly, just bought one of Bitcoin's best-funded startups. So cryptocurrency startup Coinbase has announced the acquisition of Earn.com, one of the industry's best-funded startups. So if you don't know what Earn.com is, basically you can go to Earn.com and earn cryptocurrency by doing work-at-home sort of thing. It's almost like mTurk, kind of, where you're taking surveys and you're doing this various things. So sometimes you're answering emails and you set your own price for the emails that you're answering. So you're essentially being a middleman for emails, routing them and answering them and things like that, and then doing surveys, and they'll give you Bitcoin for doing that. So it's kind of interesting. I actually went to the website just to look at it, and I didn't really get too much out of it. You need a LinkedIn account, and I didn't want to link it, and at the same time, I didn't see anything about surveys, but I always hear people talking about taking surveys on Earn.com, so maybe I'll look into that sometime. It is kind of interesting. So it talks about a lot of things. I think you answer ICO surveys and things like that. And speaking of that, a came across another ICO that I thought was pretty alright, that I might put a little bit in. I think Webcoin, maybe I'll do something on that. I'm not really sure. I know everybody like calls you out as soon as you like make an ICO video, because people are like, "Ah, oh, you're selling out." So, you know, and then like half of my viewers are like, "Hey, make an ICO video because I would like a new thing to invest in." And then the other half is like, "Oh, you're selling out because you made an ICO video." Urgh. So like, it's basically at this point, I'm just like, I don't even know if I want to do it. But Webcoin, if you guys want to check it out, it sounds pretty interesting. So now moving on. So Cambridge Analytica reportedly plan to release digital currency. So another ICO, interestingly enough. And I'll tell you what, if Cambridge Analytica, and I know all the drama around them right now with the whole Facebook thing and the government or whatever, throwing that all in the trash. Cambridge Analytica, if they made an ICO, I think you could bet your sweet bottom that I would put something into that, because that's going to go somewhere, because the company's already huge, and they misused the data from Facebook here. So it says that in the article. But if they came out with an ICO, I think that would be pretty interesting to get on top of. You know, it's a pretty solid company in the sense of like, you know, of analytics, gathering data. And I think they could make a pretty good ICO. So sources say that Cambridge Analytica had consulted with a firm that advises companies on how to structure initial coin offerings. And while it is unknown that if the data analytics consultancy is still pursuing plans to develop a digital currency, spokesperson told Reuters that the firm was considering using blockchain to secure online data. So that would be quite interesting. I think it would be definitely, for sure, a good coin to get into, just because it's Cambridge Analytica. So they got a hold of a company that advises you on how to structure your initial coin offerings. So that was likely Malta, from the country of Malta, or like Switzerland, because they do that a lot. I know that companies can get a hold of them, and they can like sort of structure your ICO and for a certain price. And Malta's getting really, really famous for, you know, inviting exchanges and creating a crypto paradise kind of thing. They're also kind of a mini tax haven, sort of like Panama or Switzerland is now, but not quite. They're like kind of in the middle. So Cambridge Analytica worked on U.S. President Donald Trump's campaign and was recently been under intense scrutiny after it reported that the firm gained improper access to Facebook user data. So you guys all know that, but ICOs have become popular means for firms to raise capital. This year, popular encrypted messaging service Telegram raised $850 million in the second round of its ICO. $850 million to support the development of the Telegram Messenger app, which I don't even really care for that much. I use it sometimes because, you know, I'm on planet Earth, but honestly, it's mostly just a spam fest. Like, if you go to a particular Telegram and you need some kind of help or assistance from somebody, and like you message in it, it's just spam and memes going like flying a million miles an hour. Like at that point, it really becomes pointless. When something is so popular that it's just flying. It's kind of like watching like a live streamer, like a really popular one, and their messages, like their comments, are just flying a million miles an hour, and like people are still commenting and like saying things. Like, why would you even do that? Because like your message is down here, boop, it's gone, like instantly. Like nobody's looking at anything you're typing at that point. Trust me, they're only looking at what they're typing and hoping everybody is impressed by what they just typed, but nobody's seen it. So it's like this weird, sick, twisted world where everybody's typing their own thing, hoping everybody's impressed by it, but nobody's seeing it. Meanwhile, they're all doing their own thing, and it's just flying by. I don't get it. I never did get chat rooms that move that fast. I don't know why people like them. So, the last article I have is Sharia, Taxes, and Short Squeeze. Versions behind Bitcoin's $1,000 bounce. So this is sort of some speculative reasons of why we just received a $1,000 super bonus value to Bitcoin over the past couple days. So since last week, crypto community celebrates the return of Bitcoin to the green with an inspiring bounce of $1,000. So the sudden increase in Bitcoin's value was met with much fanfare and further speculation as to what caused a massive volume in trade in the preeminent cryptocurrency. So short squeeze. is the first one. So Forbes financial analyst Charles Hayter suggested that the spike was due to what is known as a short squeeze on the Bitfinex exchange. In layman's terms, a short squeeze is caused by a turnaround in a stock's price, which forces short sellers to close their positions, which in turn creates buy positions, which in turn forces the price of the stock even higher. So Bitcoin has endured a bearish streak since its all-time high in 20,000 in December. However, as tensions have eased somewhat, short sellers were hard-pressed to close their positions to prevent further losses as Bitcoin began to rally on Thursday. So, with that said, yes, that could be a reason, right? When it just suddenly increases like that, it does kill a lot of shorts. However, it needs to increase first. Just because you're shorting doesn't mean it's going to increase the price. So that one I put on. This one here is more of an add-on to another reason, really, and not necessarily a reason in itself. So tax sell-off is over. So a lot has been made of the effect that the tax return season would have on American investors. Tom Lee predicted a big sell-off in April as Americans geared up to pay the tax office this month. However, Dashcore CEO Ryan Taylor told CNN that the spike in Bitcoin's price could be due to buyers returning to the Bitcoin market, having sold to pay income taxes on April 17th. Some investors would have received tax rebates and could be re-entering the market. So that's, a particular reason. So Bitcoin deemed halal. So Cointelegraph initially reported in February that Bitcoin was considered halal by Sharia law and was confirmed in a document published by Indonesian-based tech startup Blossom Finance this week. So Muhammad Abu Bakar, or a mufti or Muslim legal expert, and Haziz, wrote the report, which widely classifies cryptocurrency as halal. So given that report was published on Thursday, April 12th, a number of people speculated that Muslim cryptocurrency traders have entered the market, which may have had an effect on the trading volume that led to the surge. And then a decrease in selling pressure. All in all, the first quarter of 2018 has not been kind to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. A number of factors around the world have compounded a humbling correction after lofty highs late last year. So in January, a wave of misleading reports out of South Korea. So was South Korea a hub for cryptocurrency trading due to its kimchi premium? Talk of a trading ban in the country caused a run on the markets. China's staunch stance towards cryptocurrencies intensified. All kinds of stuff. So both the SEC and CFTF delivered positive remarks towards cryptocurrencies, promising to produce regulations that foster development of the sector while protecting investors from initial coin offering scams. So markets reacted positively after that hearing. Less than a month later, Bitcoin sunk lower amid reports that trustees of defunct exchange Mt. Gox had sold off $400 million to pay off debtors. Furthermore, let's not forget about the widespread bans of ICO advertising by major social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Google, and all of this led to Bitcoin being oversold, according to Tom Lee in an interview. Holding on to his 28,000 prediction for the end of the year, Lee said the Bitcoin is in a similar position to the end of the bear market in 2014. So, and a lot of sentiment is turning around in the Bitcoin world, in the crypto world, if you will. And take a look at some winners of the day. So Pundi X Smart Cash, super winning. The loser of the day is Verge by far, absolutely decimated. And I think a few of the comments on my channel on my last couple of videos about Verge, because they were a bit fuddy, but don't get me wrong here. I'm very objective about crypto. So if Verge is on the rise and it's up 100%, I'm not going to bash it directly because it's up 100%. And if it's down by 30%, I'm not necessarily bashing it. I'm just saying that I saw this coming. And I tried to tell everybody on the channel that this was coming. Now, that doesn't mean, don't get me wrong here, that doesn't mean that Verge might not go up in the future. But right now, it is not a part of the rise overall of crypto. And the announcement of their partnership with MindGeek was just simply underwhelming. It wasn't that great. I've never heard of anybody coming up to me and being like, hey, where can I get a porn subscription with my crypto? And I'd be like, I don't know. Do you really need one? Isn't there Google? Like, I mean, seriously, like, isn't there just Google? Like, I don't think anybody has paid for porn since Playboy subscriptions, or like having to go to the like get VHS tapes or something. I don't know. Like, why would you even need to do that? I think it's but on the other hand, it is a good move for crypto in the sense that now like these developers are starting to try to partner with these major corporations, websites, yada yada. And at the same time, that's going to take the corporation's mindset and be like, hey, this worked for them. Let's try that with Bitcoin, or let's try that with this coin or that coin or this coin. So now developers, I think, will have an easier time so long as the Verge thing isn't a total fiasco. I think the developers and corporations, website owners will have a much easier time coalescing, you know, and combining crypto and payments now. And that will create a whole different future and a whole different mindset saying, hey, it worked for Verge, it can work for us in this way. And we might have a chain reaction from this. So I am objective about it, but at the same time, I kind of saw it coming a few videos back. I was mentioning that, you know, if the news tomorrow is not that great, if it isn't Adyen, if it isn't PayPal or eBay or whatever it was supposed to be, or Amazon, all these Reddit posts, speculations with no evidence, if it isn't one of those, likely it's going to be very disappointing. And I think, in my opinion, this was disappointing in the sense of who they partnered with, but not disappointing in that they did partner with somebody. So it is kind of a double-edged sword in that regard. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.